Okay, Ramblers, let's get rambling.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Dr. Nick.
Some dumb guy here, and I'm on a recording frenzy this evening, this Christmas Eve of physical media glory. So it seems. I feel like I'm about to be encompassed, enveloped, as you will, by a tidal wave of movies and cases and television, and I have more. I'm tired of boxes piling up around me, and I'm doubly tired of all of this, and the only way that it's going to be dealt with is to get all my unboxings done and filmed, taken care of. And guess what? I got more to add to it. I have packages from Amazon and a box from Kino Lorber. Again, this was, I believe, an exclusive purchase of going out of print titles from Kino for their While Supplies last sale. I noticed, interestingly enough, on this sale that there was at least one title, maybe more, but one that I purchased that was on their Winter Wonderland sale. And when I placed my order, I paid like $15.99, I believe, for it. I made my purchase, and then like a day or two later, prior to shipping, they transferred it over from the Winter Wonderland. They pulled it off and put it in their going out of print sale. And they dropped the price by $3. So I reached out to them and asked them, hey, just because my order hasn't shipped yet, is it possible to get a $3 credit? And there's, they have apparently a price protection guarantee or promise or something that if the price does drop prior to shipping, that they will honor that price, which was great. The only downside is now there are other titles that I purchased that I believe might even be in this box for even the same sale. That after shipping, they drop the price again. Being a going out of print sale, I'm largely confident that these are going to be blind buys. Although the one that I did mention most recently going down in price again, I think I've seen part of, just never in its entirety. So let's dive in. And as I already would have it, it's the first title I grabbed. This is a film from 1959, black and white, 121 minutes, starring Marilyn Monroe, Tony Curtis, and Jack Lemmon. You all already know what this is. This is the 4K of Some Like It Hot. This is the one that is not entirely a blind buy for me. I have seen part of it. And my tastes in film have evolved since then. Although I didn't object to what I saw, it wasn't exactly gripping. Now, what I want to check, my invoice here. Some Like It Hot. I paid $15.99 on their going out of print sale. This title, as of at least yesterday, is still listed on that sale. They still have it in stock, but they've now dropped the price to $10.99. So if any of you are fans of this film, and by the time I've uploaded this, it's still on sale and available in stock, $10.99 for this 4K. I don't think you could beat that, so something I would highly recommend for fans. Okay, another blind buy. 1942, black and white, 87 minutes. We have, starring Marlene Dietrich, Randolph Scott, and John Wayne. This is an earlier John Wayne film, but this is a Western. And I think one of these titles from our last unboxing featured John Wayne and Marlene Dietrich as well. This one being a Western, it is The Spoilers. I had never heard of some of these titles I've been picking up from John Wayne recently, but I'm like, okay, well, if it's going out of print, I may not have an opportunity to buy it again, at least not new, and I want to take advantage of it before lovely eBay scalpers get their hands on them, because there's a couple of titles that I'm still trying to get that went out of print before I was aware of it. And yeah, $40 and above if I'm lucky. Next, Blind Buy, 1965, black and white, 108 minutes, starring Gregory Peck. He's the reason I got this one. And Diane Baker, I've never heard of, but I'm becoming an increasing fan of Gregory Peck. This is Mirage. I want to say I've heard of the film before in discussion within the physical media community. I started speculating the other night while I was watching Roman Holiday with Gregory Peck and Audrey Hepburn. In the 50s, Warner Brothers produced a Superman TV series with George Reeves. Very well received show for its time. But I started thinking, what if Warner Brothers had made a Superman film in that time frame? What do you people think about Gregory Peck in the role of Superman, Kal-El, Clark Kent? I have this feeling it would have worked very well. I think he could have played the role incredibly well for that time period. And then my next follow-up thought was, who would have played opposite him as Lois Lane? Who would have been ideal in that role? And this is the question I'm going to throw out and present to you, Superman fans. 1950s or even 60s Superman movie starring Gregory Peck, who would have been an ideal Lois Lane. Gregory Peck was practically ageless. I have a Western of his in the 70s. I swear you can't tell that man aged at all. It's amazing. Next, 1974, color, 105 minutes, Blind Buy, Jack Lemmon and Walter Matthau this time. A Billy Wilder film by the title The Front Page. Almost all of my Jack Lemmon and Walter Matthau experience, if not all of it, are as of old men. Not young men, not middle-aged men. Hence this purchase and why I wanted it. It's time to explore. This one, no brainer here for me. 1966, color, 97 minutes. A Western starring James Stewart. Yep, you guys know me and Jimmy. If it's Jimmy, I'll get it. Maureen O'Hara, Brian Keith. We have The Rare Breed. It's ironic, well, maybe not ironic, but it's interesting to me. So now I have a good number of Jimmy Stewart Westerns. Prior, like, let's say a year and a half ago, I had 2 Jimmy Stewart titles, I believe. It's a Wonderful Life and Harvey. No, sorry, 3. And The Flight of the Phoenix. That was it. I had seen all 3. I loved all 3. I never knew Jimmy Stewart made Westerns. I knew he was in at least one Hitchcock film, but I had never seen it. But that was like almost it as far as my cognitive awareness of Jimmy Stewart in his career. And how much I've increased that. Not, I mean, some of it like in viewing, but as far as like possession of his films, I've actually watched quite a few of them. All of his Westerns I've enjoyed so far. So I think I've got some new ones in since, but you know, I have watched and enjoyed everything. Like Night Passage was probably the weakest of his films that I've seen so far, but I still enjoyed it. Next up, 4K, 1980, color, 105 minutes. I want to say that this was a fairly recent Kino Lorber release, and it's not the first recent Kino Lorber release that has all of a sudden found its way into its going out of print selection. And I find that interesting because are their licenses that short-lived sometimes? Because some of their titles they've had for many years. Others, seems they pop up, you get maybe 2 years worth out of it, and then all of a sudden it's going out of print. Now I get sometimes that it's just a matter of they're canceling it out, maybe to bring in a 4K, although I've never seen Kino Lorber do that. This 4K, this movie is from 1980, 105 minutes, starring Michael Caine, Angie Dickinson, Nancy Allen. I know nothing about this other than it being a thriller, but the price is right. Sometimes we just dive in. Dressed to Kill. And so far, not surprisingly, but so far we have seen no slipcovers. I wouldn't expect there to be a whole lot of slipcovers still available. I know that Kino Lorber tends to do them on a limited basis, and then once they've phased out, that's it. And so by the time they're going out of print, because I think it was recent, I could be remembering wrong on that one, but you'd think they'd still have slipcovers left if that was the case. Next up, Blu-ray 1968, color 109 minutes, Blind Buy, starring Elizabeth Taylor and Mia Farrow. I got this strictly for Elizabeth Taylor because I've only ever seen one Elizabeth Taylor film in my life, and that is Cleopatra. So I thought, you know what? Time to expand those horizons as well, because when the price is right, you act. Secret Ceremony. What's under the bottom there? Oh, also starring Robert Mitchum. That's kind of an interesting inclusion under the title like that. Some unique artwork on this. Didn't read the synopsis again, as I typically or often do not on these blind buys. I didn't know this existed, surprisingly. Blu-ray Blind Buy 1980, color. Wow, 1980. That's surprising. And the reason for that will become clear. 94 minutes. Would you believe Maxwell Smart goes undercover to expose a plot to make the world naked? Dawn Adams is Agent 86 in The Nude Bomb. Apparently, this is a sequel movie to the TV series sitcom Get Smart, which I have on DVD in my library. I couldn't not get this, especially with it going out of print. I didn't know they did any follow-up anything to that show. So, yeah. Next, Blu-ray Blind Buy 1948, color 146 minutes. Wow. Or 1948. 2 hours and 26 minutes long. That's impressive. Ingrid Bergman. Victor Fleming production. We have Joan of Arc. Is this, or is this not, the original film on the subject? I want to say I believe it is, but I'm not 100% on that. I do not know. I've been interested lately, for random reasons, as I do, to pick up both the Lily Sobieski as well as the Mia Jovovich adaptations of Joan of Arc. 3 different adaptations of the source material. The history. Hey! We got a slipcover. It's the only one. 4K. This is interesting. This is 4K plus a special features Blu-ray. In my experience, that's rare with Kino Lorber. Usually they will have a Blu-ray copy of the film. This is just apparently special features. 1962, black and white, 126 minutes, starring Frank Sinatra, Lawrence Harvey, Janet Leigh, Angela Lansbury, Henry Silva, James Gregory, directed by John Frankenheimer, John Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt, guest starring in The Manchurian Candidate, the original, not the Denzel Washington film, which I believe was the remake. Surprise, surprise. I'm going out of print title, still maintaining slip cover. This would only be the second Frank Sinatra film I've actually ever seen. Blu-ray, Blind Buy, 1996, color 113 minutes. Chris O'Donnell, Gene Hackman. We have The Chamber. Zoomy, zoomy, zoomy. I want to say I've seen this, actually. I'm just not 100% sure. So I'm calling it a blind buy because of my uncertainty. My last unboxing, the Kino stuff here for the Winter Wonderland sale for my Black Friday series. I spoke of my expanding exposure and expanding library of silent films because I'm on a roll with Mr. Frank Capra over here. I picked this up and its companion that were going out of print. This is a collection of silent films on Blu-ray spanning 1897 to 1907. And its companion spanning 1911 to 1914. This collection celebrates a woman filmmaker in particular, although not all the films are directed by her. They're all produced by her. Of a lady who, unfortunately, apparently has been forgotten to time, but was a pioneer in the filmmaking industry in its time. Look, it even says so right there. I can't pronounce the lady's name. Alice Guy Blaché, maybe, I hope. But what we have is a 2-pack here. Separate purchases of, let me try this again. There we go. This is volume 1 and volume 2. I don't think there were any additional volumes. But this covers looks like a 17-year time frame in filmmaking from this gal. Classics. Bad spines. That's okay. This is I did read brief synopsises on these and trying to understand who she was. Apparently she started her filmmaking career in Europe and then moved to the United States. This, it says here, the Gaumont years is the first volume. Gaumont was like a studio, and then the next one here is the Solax years. I think Solax was another studio that she worked for, one further than the other. The Solax company, excuse me. So she originally was involved with the Gaumont company, started off as a typist, and after years of relative obscurity, Alice Guy Blaché is now being recognized for her role in the development of the cinematic arts. Beginning as a typist for the Gaumont company, she volunteered to produce a series of novelty films. So successful were her films and efficient her methods, she eventually became the studio's head of production. Like I said, we're talking from 1897 to 1907. This is a 10-year time span. This is an absolute phenomenal success for any woman of that time period. And then it continues on. I guess she moved on to another company. But yeah, so far all my silent films, again, Frank Capra here, have all been from 1928. We're going to be going back 30 years prior to that to explore the evolution of the silent era of filmmaking. And what a ride that'll be. Presumably these are all short films because each collection has a number of them here and here. One collection is 251 minutes, the other is 144. Like I said, and that's a lot of titles there. So this is going to be a fascinating ride, I think, and I'm looking forward to the study of it. I'm glad that there are so many of them. I'm glad that they're going to be shorter because it stands to reason that some of these are going to be pretty rough. So we want to take that in stride, breaking it down into pieces and make it more palatable. This is another 4K blind buy from 1955, black and white, 93 minutes. Then I'm on the impression was a newer Kino Lorber release, but again, I could be mistaken. This movie's come highly recommended to me many times. It stars Robert Mitchum and Shelley Winters. I know Criterion Collection has I believe, either 4K or Blu-ray release of this one, but it is The Night of the Hunter. And this is the last of my Kino titles. This one's been on my watch list for quite a while, and it's always been weeded off every time it's been on a sale. Well, once it ends up on the going out of print list, there's ain't no putting that thing on pause anymore. It's got to be done. Act now or forever hold your peace, right? So that is exactly what I did. Kino done. Amazon time. I believe there's only 2 or 3 titles here. I can't even remember what they are. 2 of them in one of my envelopes I actually mistakenly opened and filmed during one of my Black Friday videos, and then realized in my editing that those were actually purchases made well after Black Friday. They just got mixed in with my other packages, and oops, so it got edited out. The package was still on my thumbnail, but the footage of the unboxing was gone. This is a blind buy. This is a brand new physical release, pre-ordered a couple months ago, I think. It's a sequel to a movie that I also haven't seen. Wanted to see it. I think missed the first one entirely somehow. The second one, and I'm hoping I'm not confusing the two, but the second one was set up for a theatrical release, and I was going to go, something came up and I passed, and I did not realize, I was not aware, because it wasn't promoted as such, that it was a one-time day, one show only, and it was gone the next, so I never got to see it. Fortunately, both titles have been released physically, and I have picked them both up. But this is Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey 2, reimagining the Winnie the Pooh story years later as a group of neglected childhood animal pet / friends who, through neglect and abandonment, have turned angry and homicidal, I guess. Interesting concept. Looking forward to checking it out. Some people say good things about them, some do not. Okay, next up, I remember this one, DVD documentary series from the History Channel. Looks to be a 3-part series spanning from 1994 to 2007. 5 hours worth of runtime. This is Titanic, the complete story. I have a periodic fascination with the Titanic story. And I'm hoping at least one of these 3 cover a subject that I had read up a little bit on. I gave up on it because the website that I was reading up on, studying it, kept crashing and refreshing, and I could scroll down this long story what I was reading, and boom, I get down there, boom, it refresh again. It was taking me forever. I couldn't complete it. But there's a story, a claim that even had a Titanic not hit an iceberg, that it would have sank anyway, because it's alleged that there was a fire on board the ship that was burning apparently in the coal room from the moment they set sail. I don't know if that's true or not. I'm curious. I want to find out. Last of the Mohicans, 4-film collection from Lionsgate. I've read the novels, at least the first 3. I'm not sure about the 4th one. It's been a couple decades now. But I was fascinated to see what they would do with these, with a consistent cast, apparently. I had seen the original of the first film, made in the 80s, and liked it somewhat. So I thought, you know what? And I got this thing at a really, really cheap price, but this is the Forum Film Collection. We have Flowers in the Attic, Petals on the Wind, If There Be Thorns, and Seed of Yesterday, based on the novels from V.C. Andrews. You know, the first film, I think, was filmed a couple years after she passed in the mid-'80s. But, yeah. At first, I was afraid these had like a Hallmark Channel kind of feel to them, but I did some review reading, and apparently that's not the case. These are Lionsgate releases. Lifetime, not Hallmark. So, yeah, we'll see. I don't think these are stories that can be told in a tame fashion, so I don't know if Lifetime is going to do them justice, but for the price I paid, it's a gamble I guess I'm happy to take. That's it. I have no more boxes of movies or television, no more envelopes, no more packages. Everything is out in the open now. I think it's time to take a break and do something to deal with all of this so I can get my living environment back. You've all been troopers. All three of you. That's probably how many people have stuck with me through all this. And for the 7 others that have touched base briefly and watched the first couple minutes of each of my episodes, thank you. Your presence is still equally welcome. There's a comment section down here below that absolutely nobody seems to want to use. Surely somebody has something to say about any of this, all of this, none of this. Please indulge yourself and have something to say, because we like dialogue, we like discourse. The physical media community is ripe for engagement. Sometimes positive, often negative, but that's okay. And I like to keep things as civil as I possibly can, but you know, everybody's got an opinion, everybody's got thoughts, feelings about things. So my goal here on my channel is to further the dialogue and the exposure to help keep physical media alive. One could argue I'm doing my part. So, engaging with videos like this helps promote them, puts them out there in the YouTube ether where more people will see them, and furthers that end, I hope. So do your part if you would, and type a few words. Thank you very much, and you all have a pleasant evening. Merry Christmas to you all, because it is Christmas Eve after all, and I will see you in my next video. Thank you. Good night.